evaluation process. But we give the guys a couple days off here, a much-needed break after a long, grueling season. Let them see their families and kids and get away for a few days, and then come Monday, we'll all be back to work, ready to roll.
Are you anticipating any coaching changes?
I'm not anticipating anything right now. Right now it's just let's take a deep breath. Let's get to the tape. Let's get to the evaluation process. Let me meet with Dan and Bruce, and we'll go from there and start the process slowly but surely, get it all taken care of.
When we talked to Robert yesterday, he said you guys hadn't had a meeting to discuss the offseason next season, what had gone on this year. Is that something that needs to take place, and does there need to be a clearing the air after everything that happened this season?
Yeah, there needs to be some clarity at certain spots. No question about it. Obviously, quarterback position is one of them, and that's going to be part of the process we're going to have to evaluate and move forward from. But, I got a chance to sit down with all the players, about 95% of the players today, one-on-one, some of them for 30 seconds, some of them for a few minutes, and talk to them and let them know I appreciate their hard work and moving forward, and hopefully I can bring a lot of those guys back to be part of this growing process and this turnaround. So Robert's no different. We just got to sit down and talk with our staff and GM and owner and decide who we want to make sure we come back and bring back and go from there.
Just to follow up on my question, are you already anxiously thinking ahead, okay, next year, here's how I'm going to do things differently, or I'd like to do this way instead of that way? And
yeah, there's a million things. There's a million things swirling in your brain right now. That's why it's important just to take a deep breath, take a few days off, let everything sink in, make the notes you need to make, and then when you talk to the owner and the general manager and the rest of the staff, then you move forward with some of your thoughts and beliefs and make sure some of the key points are addressed, some of the key issues are addressed as quickly as possible, and so a team can move forward.
Coach, you said you don't foresee any coaching changes. Above you at the GM level, owner level, how do they feel about your defensive coordinator? And if the decision from above is to remove him, how hard are you going to fight for him? What's your thoughts on Jim Haslett?
Well, I didn't say there won't be any changes. I don't know what the changes are yet. I just said we're going to take a couple days here, take a deep breath, and I'll meet with Bruce tomorrow, and I'll meet with the ownership or Dan on Sunday. And then we'll decide and talk about the future of everybody in this organization, try to get some clarity moving forward. But every decision we make, it's not going to be Dan's, it's not going to be Bruce's, it's not going to be my decision, it's going to be our decision, and something that we're going to live with and we're going to do together. So I'm going to be on board with whatever decision we decide to make.
Would you, I guess, again, I mean, when you're at that round table and they ask for your opinion, what will your opinion be of Bruce Allen? And they say, Coach, we want to know how you feel about Jim Haslett. What's going to be your answer to that?
Well, I think, I have a lot of respect for Jim Haslett. Coach Haslett had his hands tied a little bit this year. We had a lot of injuries, a lot of issues to our defensive personnel that not many people have had to go through in this NFL season or in the history of the league, playing with as many different guys at different key positions throughout the season. I don't know what the numbers were, but I'm sure they're up there with, a record amount of players that had to start and play in this defense. So, but obviously from a production standpoint, offense, defense, special teams, we all have to take a step back and look and evaluate everybody. And nobody got the job done this year. We're 4-12. So we had issues all across the board. But I'm not going to talk about fictional things. I'm just going to take a step back here, wait for the meeting with Mr. Steiner, and we'll go from there.
Would you recommend keeping him or not? Yes.
Would I recommend keeping him?
Yeah.
I would recommend keeping him, yes.
Jay, when you had a chance to evaluate the film on Robert, if you've taken a look at that film already, what were your impressions? And second part of the question is, when you see like the elite quarterback play around the league, I mean the guys who are at the top of the game, how long is it going to take to get Robert to a point where he can be a difference maker in the pocket for this team? Can you quantify it? Can you put a timetable on it?
Can't put a timetable on that. I wish I could. I really do. But obviously, he did some good things in the game. He did some good things the last couple games. But there are some things that we need to improve on in the offseason, as does everybody. And, his play is the focal point of this offense, obviously, as well as should be. Most quarterbacks, that is the job. That is what you sign up to do. When you sign up to play quarterback in the NFL, you're going to be under a microscope. And it's no different here. This microscope's a little bit bigger than everywhere else, though. But, obviously, as a young quarterback, he's going to go through some growing pains. We all have a long way to go as far as learning each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we just got to grow from there and moving forward, I think, he's got the arm talent to be a good quarterback. Obviously, some issues in the pocket, have to be worked with. Anticipation, accuracy, there's a lot of things that can be improved on, but that's every quarterback in the NFL will have to improve on every part of their game from one season to the next, and he's no different.
Jay, obviously got a long ways to go here, but as you close the season, do you look at Robert as the guy going into next year, or do you think this is going to be an open competition? Well,
It's all part of the evaluation process, and coaches, players, all of it together. It's going to be we're going to take this thing very slow and very methodical, man. We don't want to jump to any conclusions right now about anybody, coaches, players, anything. And I want to go back and watch all the film of all our defensive snaps, all of our offensive snaps, and evaluate our guys in the most professional way I can before I make any comment on who's a starter and who's going to be competing for the job, who's going to be here, who's not going to be here. Luckily for us, we got a lot of tape to look at on all three quarterbacks. All three quarterbacks have shown the ability that they can play quarterback in the NFL, but all three quarterbacks shown that they need some work. And that's the case with most teams who are out of the playoffs right now. So we're going to go through that process slowly but surely, but we will get there.
Jay, with those three guys, there's a lot the CBA won't let them do during these months between now and April. How do you try to get them to improve and get to know the things they need to know when you guys really can't have contact with them? How do you try to figure that out? What have you done in the past?
That's tough. You got to play by the rules. They come in here, they can work out, but they can't use a ball or can't be with the staff. So, it's hard. They have to do a lot of their work on their own with their own personal coaches, and we can give recommendations, but we can't be out there with them. So. But we do have all the OTAs. We have a chance to really get hands-on with them. And then we have the training camp and all the necessary preseason games and all that moving forward. But hopefully this experience that they all had, they can take and learn from and study the game themselves with a lot of tape they have on themselves, study other quarterbacks, study other systems, and continue to grow as a person and a player.
Jay, you had a team meeting this morning. How long was that meeting, and what was your message to the players?
It wasn't very long at all. Big thing was just give them the dates for, the first off-season training activity. Tell them appreciate their work, their hard work, and we're all disappointed with the 4-12 record, obviously, but we, want to approach this next season differently, man. We want to work harder. We want to do things that you have never done before, and sometimes when you go about the same way you train, same way you work, same way we prepare, you're going to get the same results. And we've had the same results here for too long. And we got to look at doing things differently. And hopefully these guys come with a fresh mindset, come in the best shape of their careers, best shape of their lives, because we have to. We're not good enough not to come in the best shape of our life. So challenge these guys, very much so. And the core group of guys that I know that are going to be here, I feel good about. Now it's a matter of surrounding them with other good people.
Jay, when you took over, obviously Robert was the unquestioned starter. During the season, it turned into a competition with three different guys. Would you be comfortable in camp next year with all three guys having a shot? Is that a tenable situation for you or for a team to have three guys competing, let alone two?
Yeah, it's very difficult to have three with the reps that you get. You'd like to try to narrow it down to at least two. But like I said, if somebody said that, hey, you have to play with this guy, or that guy, I'd be comfortable working with one. I'd like to pick one as soon as I could so we can really try to work and grind on them and develop them. But however, until that position is earned, you have to have a competition. And I anticipate us having a competition in a lot of spots, and quarterback's no different next year.
Jay, when you look at this team the way it was when you took it over last year and to now, did it get better? And if so, where?
Well, didn't get much better, to be honest with you. Won one more game, I guess, so I guess we got a little better. But that's not good enough. We tried to address some issues in the offseason, depth-wise and in the draft. But, however, the results did not show. I think that will be determined next year and hopefully the year after to see the progress. I think we are making progress. I think these guys competed. I think these guys came out the last few weeks despite being out of the playoffs. I feel like they laid it on the line for the most part. They really played hard, and that's a positive sign for me. But the results aren't much better, so I can only speak on results, and it's a results-driven league. And personally, if you look at the scores and final 4-12, it's not much better. So we have a long way to go.
Jay, do you think it would make a big difference, positive difference, if A.J. Smith was hired, I guess, to be here full-time all year round, or would that not make a huge difference based on what he's able to contribute now?
Well, he's got a great experience in the league, and he's a well-known general manager and done some great things out there with what he's accomplished. But, that's not up to me. That's up to Bruce and A.J. themselves, and I have a lot of respect for both Bruce and A.J., and I think if A.J.'s here full-time, it can only be a benefit.
Jay, you've finished up a full year, your first year. How would you assess, even us in the media, we're always assessing you, but is this what you expected, obviously knowing the history of the organization and some of the things as far as the drama that's been going on?
Well, I didn't expect it quite to be this crazy, but, it's pro football, and I've always understood the level of media scrutiny in pro football. You're under a spotlight, you're under the microscope, like you said, and if you don't perform, you don't win, then all your demons and all your skeletons are going to be pulled out of the closet. And as well they should be, man. This is the way that's what people want to read, I guess. I just get a little disappointed sometimes with a lot of the negativity, but I know because there's a lot of good positive stories to write about. There's a lot of players on this team that play their butts off and perform very well, and I don't feel like those stories are written enough, personally, but the Alfred Morrises of the world, the Ryan Kerrigans, there's some good people on this football team that are good off the field and on the field that I think deserve to be written about more so than all the controversial, opinionated stories, but that's just me. But overall, man, it's been kind of what I expected for a 4-12 season.
Jay, another, I guess, expectation question. What were your expectations coming into the season, your first head coaching job in the NFL and joining this organization, which has had turnover, some drama, things like that, and I guess how accurate were your expectations now looking back?
Well, anytime you come in an organization as a head football coach, man, it's a great opportunity, obviously, and you can't wait to get started, and your expectations are always high at the highest of levels. Otherwise, you're in the wrong business, because that's what you have to strive for as a football coach. The highest level is a Super Bowl, and that's the only thing we can strive for here. And when you don't reach those expectations, then you're answering questions uncomfortably week 17 when you should be getting ready for the playoffs. So, but I think from a standpoint of working together with the staff and the players, I think everything went pretty well, man. I have a lot of respect for a lot of people I work with, a lot of people that I coach, and I know moving forward there's enough people in this building that we can get this thing turned around very swiftly if we do it the right way.
Had you, I guess, appropriately prepared yourself for the job at hand, or was that kind of a learn-on-the-fly thing in some ways?
A lot of it's on the fly. You don't prepare yourself for this. 4-12, it's hard to prepare yourself for. You don't want to prepare yourself for that. But you know that when you coach in football long enough and you play, you're going to have your ups and downs, man. You're just going to have them. You're not going to win the Super Bowl every single year of your career. So you have to handle the adversity like a pro, and hopefully these players don't get too used to losing, but they have to handle it, and they have to learn from it, to do everything they can and everything we can in our power not to let it happen again.
I think you may have addressed this in the last few weeks, but any idea about maybe bringing in a quarterback coach? Is there any thought to that, or are you going to stick with just you and Sean McVay?
There's definitely been some thought to a lot of different things we're going to do staff-wise, and I'm not going to stand up here and say everything's going to be exactly the same as next year. I'm not going to do it. There will be some changes. I just don't know where they are yet, what they are going to be. So I promise you there will be some changes. Maybe some additions, maybe some subtractions. But moving forward, we will have some changes for the better and make this team better.
You said that you think you guys can turn around swiftly if you do it the right way. What is the right way?
Bringing in the right people, number one. It starts with the right people, the right kind of people, guys that buy in, guys that like football, love football, want to be here, want to come to practice on time and practice their butts off and prepare the right way and coach the right way and love the game. And we got a lot of guys in the building that like that right now. We just got to continue to add more.
To revisit yesterday's game briefly, it seemed like there were a lot of times where the timing just wasn't on between the quarterback and the receiver. Robert just not throwing it on the route or on the cut. What do you do to remedy that, and is that something you see as being a fixable thing going forward?
Well, I hope it's fixable. You have to fix it. playing the position of quarterback, you have to rely on timing and accuracy. And right now, for whatever reason, with the new receivers that we had, the quarterback switches, we just haven't had the right timing and consistency with routes down the field. You know, yesterday we threw for a lot of yards, but the majority of those were on screens and flat routes and all that stuff. So being able to push the ball down the field is a very important part of football nowadays, and we have to do a better job of making sure everybody's on the same page, running the route exactly the right way and throwing the ball with the right timing, footwork, and accuracy. And right now, whether it's receivers, whether it's blocking, whatever it might be, we're just not quite clicking to where you need to click in order to win more games than you lose.
Coach, you mentioned some of the negativity that surrounded the job and the team. Even some of your players mentioned things like, you know, the media, you guys have to have things to write about and things like that, I guess implying that was certain people's. I guess the point is, you know, people aren't making some of this stuff up. And I wonder, do you feel like there's house cleaning that has to be done on your side of the house? Not obviously you, but just in your locker room. I mean, because it isn't all just media people.
Sometimes the best addition to your football team is subtraction. And that's what we got to figure out. And being with these guys for a long time, and there are some things that you want to address. You know, you want to make sure you have the right people in here. And I'm not saying that all 53 guys are my type of guys. You know, there are going to be some changes that are going to be made. You know, so I do have a lot of respect for everybody, the way they worked and prepared, but we do have to get better. We do have to make some changes. I promise you this will not be the same football team, football staff right now that we're going to have the start of next year. So we're going to have a lot of changes that are done and made, and hopefully for the better.
Jay, do you have anything, Trent Williams, his injury status, and is there anybody on the team who's going to have surgery in the next couple of weeks that has been scheduled?
I didn't bring that list. That's a good one. The only three I got is Chester had a sprained toe. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. Trent Williams had his MRI. He's going to have an MRI on his high ankle sprain. Hopefully he won't need surgery. And Compton had the MCL sprain. He's getting an MRI. The other guys that were already, I think, Hatcher, we're trying to avoid surgery. We're going to keep close tabs on him. You know, Tracy Porter might have to have surgery on his shoulder. We already know D. Hall, and there's a couple others that we can get you a list to if need be. But on a lighter note, you know, Logan Paulson played good left tackle for a few plays. You know, so the more you can do, the better, man. But you know, injuries happen, and then hopefully our training staff gets with these guys closely. And some of these guys were hurt, come back full strength in the OTAs, and be ready to roll. Give us more depth. All right, thank you, guys.
We've been watching Jay Gruden, just recapping what we learned today. Gruden says after that dismal 4-12 season, there are, quote, a million things he would do differently, but he's going to take a couple days to decide what changes may come for the next season, for the future of everyone in the organization. Also, no real clear commitment to RG3 moving forward. He says that RG3 has a lot to improve on in terms of accuracy, anticipation. He says Robert Griffin III is part of a all-party evaluation process.